"Your son isn't dead," whispered homeless girl to biker. What he discovered changed everything. Grief has a sound. Sometimes it's a grown man crying at a grave. Sometimes it's a child whispering in the dark. And sometimes it's a homeless girl brave enough to speak one impossible sentence that changes everything. This is a story about truth, timing, and the people we forget to see. The cemetery was quiet in the way only winter can make it quiet. Not peaceful, just empty. Jax Miller knelt in the frozen dirt, his knees soaked through his jeans, his hands pressed against a small gray headstone. Snow clung to the edges of his leather vest. The patches on his back meant nothing here. Not power, not fear, not respect, only weight. The name on the stone felt heavier every time he read it. Evan Miller, born 8 years ago, gone too soon. Jax's shoulders shook as his breath came out in broken clouds. A man like him wasn't supposed to cry like this. People expected rage, violence, silence, not this raw collapse of a father who had buried his whole world 6 days ago. Behind a leafless tree near the iron fence, a girl watched. She was small, too thin, wrapped in a men's coat 3 sizes too big. One sleeve had a tear near the elbow, patched with duct tape. Her shoes didn't match. Her hair was pulled back with a broken elastic. Her name was Lily Dawson, and she hadn't slept indoors in almost a year. She followed him from the bus stop. Not because she wanted trouble, because she recognized grief. She knew that sound. Her fingers curled around something warm in her pocket. The last thing she had that mattered. She told herself to walk away. She told herself it wasn't her place. She told herself grown men didn't listen to girls like her. But then Jax leaned forward, pressed his forehead to the stone, and whispered, "I'm sorry, buddy. I should have found you faster." Lily's chest tightened, because she knew something impossible. Because 3 nights ago, she'd shared a stolen sandwich with an 8-year-old boy hiding under broken stairs behind an abandoned warehouse. A boy who whispered the same name. A boy who was alive. Lily's feet were numb. She couldn't remember when they stopped hurting and started feeling like nothing at all. She shifted her weight, the snow crunching softly beneath her shoes. The sound felt too loud, too dangerous. She almost turned away. People like Jax didn't look safe. He was tall, broad. Tattoos crawled up his neck and disappeared beneath his beard. His hands looked like they'd broken bones before. He wore grief like armor, thick and sharp. But Lily remembered the boy's cough. Dry, deep, the kind that shook his whole body. She remembered how he'd flinched when she moved too fast, how his wrists were wrapped in dirty cloth, stained darker where skin had split, how he'd asked very quietly if dads stopped loving their kids when they disappeared. That question hadn't left her. The wind picked up, cutting through the cemetery. Lily hugged her coat tighter and took a step forward. Jax didn't hear her. He was talking to the ground now, telling the stone about the bike he'd promised to fix. The fishing trip they never took, how the house felt too quiet without small feet running down the hallway. Lily swallowed. "Sir," she said, her voice barely carried. "Nothing." She took another step, then another. "Sir, please." Jack stiffened. Slowly he turned. His eyes were red, raw, empty in a way that scared her more than anger would have. "What?" he said, not loud, just tired. Lily's mouth went dry. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to disappear. That's what she was good at, but she didn't. "Your son," she said, the words shaking as they left her mouth. "He's not dead." Silence fell between them. Thick, heavy. Jack stood up, full height, towering. Lily's heart slammed against her ribs. "What did you just say?" he asked. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small plastic car. Red paint chipped, one wheel missing. "He gave me this," she whispered. "He said you'd know." Jack stared at the toy, and the world cracked open. Jax's hand trembled as it reached for the toy. He didn't take it right away, just hovered there like he was afraid it might vanish. "That was Evan's," he said slowly. "He never went anywhere without it." Lily nodded, her throat burned. "He sleeps holding it," she said, "even when it hurts his chest to breathe." Jax's knees buckled. He caught himself on the bench behind him, sitting hard. Snow dusted his shoulders like ash. "No," he whispered, "I buried him." Lily shook her head. "You buried a lie." The words surprised even her. She told him about the warehouse, about the broken door behind the loading dock, about the boy curled up between pallets, wrapped in newspaper and plastic bags to keep warm, about how he counted cracks in the ceiling when he was scared. Jax listened, didn't interrupt, his face drained of color with every detail. He has a scar on his chin, Lily said, from falling off a bike. He told me you cried more than he did. Jax covered his mouth. He knows your phone number, she continued. He says it like a song. He says you'll come if you hear it. Tears slid down Jax's face, unchecked. They told him you didn't want him anymore, Lily said. That bad men don't come looking. Jax made a sound that wasn't human. Where? He asked. Lily exhaled. I'll take you. Jax stood fast, pulled out his phone with shaking hands, made one call, just one sentence. I need help now. Minutes later, the engine of his motorcycle roared to life. Lily climbed on behind him, her hands gripping leather and cold metal, her heart pounding with fear and hope tangled together. The cemetery disappeared behind them, and somewhere in the dark, a boy waited. The ride felt unreal. The city blurred past in streaks of orange lights and shadow. Lily pressed her face against Jax's back to block the wind. His body was rigid, focused, like every muscle knew this moment mattered. They stopped near the warehouse, its windows shattered, walls tagged with years of forgotten anger. Jax jumped off the bike before it fully stopped. This way, Lily said. They ran. The smell hit first. Damp, rust, rot. Jax gagged but kept moving. Lily ducked through the broken door, counting steps in her head like she always did. Safety lived in numbers. Behind the loading dock, down the stairs, left, always left. Evan, Jax called. His voice cracked. Buddy, it's me. Nothing! Lily dropped to her knees and crawled through the gap under the pallets. Jax followed, scraping his arms, not caring. She tapped the floor softly. A signal. A pause, then, Daddy! The word was weak, fragile. Jax froze. Yeah, he said, sobbing. Yeah, it's me. The boy crawled out slowly, too slowly. His face was pale, his lips blue, his eyes huge. Jax pulled him close, careful, like glass. I'm here, he whispered over and over. Lily watched them, tears freezing on her cheeks. Sirens wailed in the distance. For once they were coming for the right reason. Evan was wrapped in blankets, oxygen mask fogging with every breath. His small hand clutched Jax's finger like it might disappear. I knew you'd come, Evan whispered. Jax couldn't speak. He just nodded, tears dripping onto hospital sheets. Lily stood in the hallway, arms wrapped around herself. A nurse offered her hot chocolate. She took it with shaking hands. Later, Jax found her sitting alone. You saved my son, he said. Lily shrugged. I just listened. Jax pulled off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. You don't disappear anymore, he said quietly. Not if I have anything to say about it. She looked up at him. Hope felt dangerous, but so did walking away. The hospital room smelled like disinfectant and warm plastic. Machines hummed softly, steady and patient, as if they understood the importance of keeping quiet. Evan slept most of the time during those first days. His body was tired in a way no child's body should ever be. Jax barely left the chair beside the bed. He slept sitting up, his jacket folded into a pillow that smelled like oil and leather. When Evan stirred, Jax was already there. When nurses came in, Jax stood back, hands clenched, watching every movement like a guard who had failed once and would never fail again. Lily stayed close to the wall. She didn't want to take up space. Old habits clung tight. Even here, where people smiled at her and offered food, she waited for someone to tell her she didn't belong. One night, Evan woke up crying, not loud, just tears sliding down his temples, breath hitching like he was falling. Jax was on his feet instantly. Hey, I'm here. Evan's eyes searched the room, wild and afraid. They come back when it's dark, he whispered. Jax sat on the bed, carefully, like he was afraid the mattress might break. He took Evan's hand. They're not coming back, I promise. I'm not going anywhere. Evan studied his father's face, like he was memorizing it again. Then his grip tightened. Don't leave. I won't, Jax said, and this time it wasn't a hope, it was a vow. From the corner, Lily watched. She felt something loosen in her chest, something she didn't realize she'd been holding tight for years. Later, when Evan fell asleep again, Jax turned to her. You should get some rest, he said gently. Lily shook her head. I'm okay. He nodded, understanding more than she realized. He pulled his jacket from the chair and held it out to her. At least take this. She hesitated, then took it. It smelled like safety. The days blurred together after that. Doctors came and went. Social workers asked questions, forms stacked up. Words like asterisk investigation and asterisk mistake asterisk and system failure floated through hallways, heavy and uncomfortable. Jax answered everything. Every question, every interview. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten. His anger was quiet now, focused. Evan improved slowly. His cough softened. Color returned to his cheeks. He laughed once, suddenly, at a cartoon playing too loud on the tiny hospital TV. The sound stopped everyone in the room. Lily smiled so hard her face hurt. One afternoon, Evan asked, "Can Lily stay?" The nurse looked at Jax. Jax didn't hesitate. "She's family." The word landed hard in Lily's chest. No one had ever said that about her before. When Evan was finally discharged, Jax brought them home to a small house above his repair shop. The place smelled like oil and coffee. It was noisy during the day, quiet at night. Solid, real. Lily took the smallest room. She insisted on it, still learning how to feel safe. That first night she woke up panicked, convinced she'd dreamed everything, but there was warmth and silence, and somewhere down the hall a child breathing. She cried into the pillow until morning. Jax noticed the way she flinched at sudden sounds, how she counted steps, how she always waited for permission. He didn't push. Instead, he fixed the door lock on her room, installed a light outside her window, left food where she could find it without asking. Care came in quiet pieces. Evan started school again. Jax walked him every morning. Lily came too, sitting on the steps with a notebook, pretending not to watch as Evan waved before going inside. One evening, Lily found the red toy car on her bed, cleaned, repaired, a new wheel fitted carefully onto the broken axle. A note sat beside it. "Thank you for believing me." She held the car to her chest, and for the first time in a long time, she believed in herself too. Spring arrived slowly, like it was unsure it was welcome. Snow melted into gray rivers along the streets. The air softened. Evan grew stronger. He rode his bike again, wobbling at first, Jax jogging beside him with hands out, ready to catch. "Don't let go," Evan laughed. "I won't," Jax said, though his hands dropped back. "You've got this." Lily watched from the porch. She still expected things to fall apart. That feeling didn't disappear overnight, but it faded a little more each day. The truth came out soon after. A falsified report, a rushed declaration of death, a system that chose paperwork over patience. People were arrested, apologies were issued, none of them felt big enough. Reporters showed up once. Jax turned them away. "This isn't a story," he said. "It's my kid." They left. One afternoon, Jax took Lily and Evan back to the cemetery. The ground was soft now. Birds perched on bare branches. The headstone was still there, wrong and quiet. Jax knelt again, not like before. This time he wasn't breaking. He placed his hand on the stone and closed his eyes. "I'm sorry I believed them," he whispered, "and thank you for giving me my son back." Lily stood beside him. Evan held her hand. The stone was removed a week later. No grave, just space, room to breathe. On the way home, Evan leaned his head against Lily's shoulder in the back seat and fell asleep. She didn't move for the whole ride. Somewhere between the cemetery and the house, something inside her settled. She wasn't passing through anymore. She was home. Life didn't turn perfect. Lily still had nightmares. Evan still froze when he heard sirens. Jax still woke up some nights reaching for a phone that wasn't ringing. Healing wasn't loud. It was slow. Lily went back to school. The first day, she sat in the back and kept her head down. She expected whispers, questions, judgment. Instead, a girl slid her a pencil and smiled. Small things mattered. Jax worked long hours, but he made dinner every night, even when he was tired. Even when the shop ran late, they ate together. No TV, just food and stories and long pauses where no one rushed to fill the silence. Evan started calling Lily my sister, not as a question, as a fact. She corrected him once, quietly. He shook his head. "You saved me." "That's what sisters do." She didn't argue again. Sometimes Lily caught Jax watching her from across the room. Not suspicious, protective, like he was learning how to be careful with something fragile and strong at the same time. One evening, Lily asked, "Why did you believe me?" Jax didn't answer right away. "Because," he said finally, "you didn't want anything, you just wanted the truth." She nodded. Truth had cost her everything once, now it gave something back. On quiet nights, Lily sat on the porch steps and listened to the city breathe. Cars passed, wind moved through trees. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked and then stopped. She thought about how close everything had come to disappearing. One moment of silence, one choice not made, one sentence swallowed instead of spoken. "Your son isn't dead." Words echoed in her memory. She understood now how heavy words could be, how dangerous, how saving. Evan came out one night wrapped in a blanket and sat beside her. "You okay?" She smiled. "Yeah, just thinking." He leaned into her side. "You're brave." She laughed softly. "No, I was scared." "That still counts," he said. Inside, Jax watched them through the window. He had lost a son once, and found a family he never expected. Lily looked up at the sky. No stars tonight, just clouds. But she didn't mind. Not every night had to be perfect. Some just had to be honest. And sometimes that was enough. People saw them differently now. When Jax walked down the street with Evan riding ahead on his bike and Lily following a few steps behind, strangers noticed the leather vest first. The size, the tattoos, the way Jax moved like the world should make room for him. Then they noticed the kid laughing. Then the girl. They didn't see the nights Evan woke up shaking. They didn't see Lily flinch when someone raised their voice too quickly. They didn't see Jax pause every time an ambulance passed, his jaw tightening, his hand flexing like he was holding onto something invisible. They just saw a family. And for the first time, that word didn't feel like a costume Lily was wearing. It felt earned. At school, Lily was quiet but steady. Teachers noticed she listened more than she spoke. She finished her work early and then helped others without being asked. When asked about her past, she kept it short. "I moved around a lot." It was true. Evan had nightmares less often now. When they came, he didn't scream anymore. He whispered. Jax would sit beside his bed until morning if needed. Sometimes Lily joined them, sitting on the floor with her back against the wall, grounding herself in the sound of Evan breathing. Healing didn't announce itself. It arrived in moments like Evan asking Jax to teach him how to fix an engine, or Lily laughing at a joke without checking the room first, or Jax realizing he no longer felt like he was holding his breath all the time. One afternoon, Lily caught her reflection in the shop window. Clean clothes, hair tied neatly, eyes still careful but brighter. She barely recognized herself. That scared her. And then, gently, it didn't. Because she wasn't losing who she was. She was becoming someone who survived. The red toy car stayed on Evan's shelf. Jax had fixed it carefully, like he did everything now. A new wheel, cleaned edges, but the scratches stayed. Evan insisted on that. "They remind me," he said. "Of what?" Jax asked. "That I got out." Sometimes Evan took the car to school. Sometimes it stayed home. Either way, it was close. A reminder that truth could be small and still powerful. Lily understood that better than anyone. She started volunteering at the community center on weekends, helped kids with homework, served food, listened more than she talked. One boy asked her once, "Why are you nice?" She shrugged. "Someone was nice to me once." She didn't say more. Jax noticed how she moved through the world now, still cautious but not shrinking. Still alert, but not afraid of her own shadow. He never pushed her to talk about her past. He knew silence could be protective. Instead, he showed up. Every time. One evening, while closing the shop, Lily asked him, "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I didn't say anything?" Jax didn't answer right away. He locked the door, turned the sign to closed. "I think about it every day," he said, "and then I stop because you did." She nodded. Sometimes survival was about not looking back too long. That night, Evan fell asleep on the couch between them, the toy car still in his hand. Jax didn't move him. Lily watched the rise and fall of Evan's chest and felt something steady settle inside her. Not relief, belonging. Life found its rhythm. Morning breakfasts, school drop-offs, the hum of engines downstairs, Lily's books stacked neatly on the kitchen table, Evan's backpack always by the door ready. Jax fixed bikes again with patience instead of anger. Customers noticed, said he seemed lighter. He just nodded. Lily started writing at night, nothing fancy, just thoughts, memories, questions she didn't yet have answers for. She wrote about cold nights, about counting steps, about the weight of deciding whether to speak or stay silent. She wrote about Evan's laugh, and about the sound Jax made when he cried at the grave. The sound of a man breaking and rebuilding at the same time. One night, Jax found her notebook open by accident. He didn't read it. He closed it gently and left it where it was. Trust went both ways. Evan learned to ride without training wheels, fell once, got up on his own. Lily cheered louder than anyone. Jax felt his chest tighten, not with fear, but pride. He realized something then. He hadn't just gotten his son back. He'd been given a second chance at being the man Evan needed. And Lily, she wasn't a guest anymore. She was part of the foundation. Sometimes Lily went back to the warehouse, not often, just enough. She stood outside the broken door and listened. The echoes were different now. Less sharp, less threatening. She remembered the girl she was then, hungry, tired, invisible. She wished she could tell that girl something. That one sentence could matter more than fear. That courage didn't feel brave when you were doing it. That speaking up could change lives, including your own. She never went inside. She didn't need to. That chapter was closed. When she returned home, Evan ran to her, wrapped his arms around her waist without warning. "You okay?" he asked. She smiled. "Yeah." Jax watched from the doorway, hands in his pockets, heart full in a way that once felt impossible. They didn't talk about the past much anymore. They didn't need to. The future had space now. Some truths don't shout, they whisper. They come from people no one is listening to, from places no one wants to look, from voices the world has learned to ignore. Lily almost ignored her own, but she didn't. And because of that, a boy lived, a father healed. A family was built from the wreckage of silence. Years later, Evan would barely remember the warehouse, the cold, the fear, but he would remember this, that someone saw him, that someone spoke, that love can come from unexpected places. And Lily, she would remember the weight of that moment forever. The way fear and courage stood side by side, the way one sentence changed everything. She didn't become famous, she didn't become rich, she became something better, someone who knew her voice mattered. And sometimes that's enough to save a life. If this story touched your heart, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss stories that remind us we're not alone. Share this with someone who needs hope today. Sometimes the smallest voice carries the greatest truth.